Okay. In this video, you guys, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about how we're experimenting in our journals. Nothing really new, but I've noticed in class that some of you don't seem to really know how far to go with your experimentations or what you should really be thinking about as you're doing experimentations. So anytime we pick up a new mark making tool, whether that be pencil or pen, ink, charcoal, pastel, you always want to get a feel for what that tool can do, what kind of marks, what kind of lines we can make on a paper with it. So for today, I'll just be working with pencil, and you know how much I like it when you annotate your pages. Let's go ahead and just write down experimentations. And since I'm going to be using an H pencil to start off with, I'll just write H next to that. And to begin, I might just do a series of lines, and make some vertical lines, maybe using the edge of the paper as a guide. Medium pressure, medium speed, just getting a feel for how hard I need to press on the paper to make a mark. H pencil is right in the middle of the spectrum of lead density. So it's not really too dark, not really too light. You should be able to make a range just by changing things like hand position or pressure. Flip it, do some diagonal lines, working with repetition. Maybe go in the other direction, changing line size, the length. Maybe I'll do some dashed lines. Maybe go the other direction. There's no real uniform, there's no real method that you have to follow with experimentations because it's you experimenting. But I guess just going for variety is really the key here. Thinking about things like line types. And there's a whole range of different types of lines we can make. Here it's working with kind of some standard ones, changing the length and direction of the lines we make. Maybe we'll start doing some curved lines, going different directions. Maybe working on alternating those line types. Maybe we'll work on some more wavy lines. Still thinking about repetition. Repetition is really good to think about because through repeating, we develop skill. Just like riding a bike, you don't get good at it the first time. You have to repeat it. And same thing with drawing. These basic exercises can really help us develop our skill. I know I could always go back and brush up on these basics. The fundamentals are really important. Maybe I'll think about some spirals. And everything I'm doing right now, I'm holding my pencil the same way I'd be holding it for doing my math homework or writing a paper in my English class. Just kind of the traditional way, pencil grip. The pressure is very even, not too hard, not too light, and the speed is even as well. So all we're really looking at right here is line types. That's all we're thinking about. If we want to start thinking about things like pressure, and how much pressure does it take to, make a dark line, we can think about heavy pressure versus light pressure. Or maybe changing that grip a little bit, and how dark can we make an area with our H pencil. Now as we're doing this kind of shading, I don't want to be pressing so hard that I'm starting to damage the paper or make the paper shine. When that happens, that tells me that the paper is full. There's no more graphite that it can really hold, and maybe I should change to a different pencil if I want to go any darker. So with H pencil, that's about the darkest I can go. All right. The lightest, let's see. We can go a little bit lighter than that. Just letting it feather over the top of the paper. Yeah, something like that. That looks like that's about the lightest. Now, we can change that weight, that tone in a single line as well. If this is the darkest, we can go with our pencil, and this is the lightest, just by changing that pressure. What about in a single line? So let's try heavy, light, heavy, light, heavy, light, heavy, light, heavy, light, heavy, light. And this is a good exercise because if you're doing a drawing and you're not using shading, but you want to convey a sense of highlights or shadows, then you want to be able to change that line style, or you want to be able to change that line style to indicate where areas of highlights or shadows might be. And you're going to do that just through the amount of pressure you're applying and how that pressure is changing that line weight. If I switch my grip and hold my pencil this way, I can really indicate a little bit better what I'm talking about. So here we have very lightweight. Here we have heavyweight, more pressure. In a single line, if I'm starting off with some heavy pressure, and then I'm going lighter, it's still heavy pressure, and then I go lighter, heavy, lighter, heavy, and let's just imagine lighter up here. There we go. Heavy. So what we got here, where there's lighter pressure, we can say those are our highlights. Maybe we have a light source coming from this direction. Right? So highlights, shadows, all with one line. Another thing to be thinking about as I hold my pencil in this grip, the kind of line we can make, right? That line characteristic. If you notice, as I hold the pencil this way, the side of the pencil is what's making contact with the paper, and I can get a much different line than if I'm just holding the pencil traditionally. Right? So we have line types, thinking about different length and direction. We have line weight, right? Thinking about the pressure and our pencil grip, how we're holding that pencil. The last thing I want you guys to really be thinking about is speed. So when I'm asking you guys to kind of practice control and kind of go slow, to kind of maintain some control. But if I start to see some lines that look like this, where there's this shooting star, this tail of the comet, that tells me you're going too fast. It's a clear indication of speed. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, depending on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to make a very slow, controlled line, then yeah, you don't want to have that speed in it, but maybe you want to do something that has a little bit more speed behind it, and that's okay. But doing line repetition, doing these kind of repeated lines to develop control, we don't really want to see that speed so much. Now, there's a lot more we can be doing with our experimentations, but if I see this on your paper, this shows me that you're really thinking about, what kind of marks you're making, and the line types, how pressure changes, how pencil grip changes, and then really you're aware of the speed you're using too. Okay, there's a lot more line types we could be talking about. So don't think that this is it. But as far as just getting started, this is a good place to be. Okay, you guys. So enjoy. It's kind of repetitive. It's not the most exciting, but I assure you that this right here is a great way of kind of developing skill, understanding with any mark making tool that you pick up. So this is what I'll be looking for in your journals. So get out there, enjoy, and make